Hey everybody, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Hideaway here in Dundee, Florida. I wanted to talk about a subject because I get a lot of questions and it's like the subject is taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to get into it. Nobody wants to make admissions about it. Um, but I want to talk a little bit about the use of performance enhancing drugs and steroids in the world of bodybuilding and weightlifting, and perhaps answer some questions that I accumulated over the past couple months. So I want to be completely honest and open with you, and I don't know if anybody's going to argue some points. They're allowed to. This is America, and we're all adults. So, but here we go. Question number one. What do you say to people who want to use steroids? If they come up to me, and I've had a few come up to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about trying this, that, or the other thing. What do you think? My answer is and always will be try not to. Try not to very hard, because as with everything, there's risk versus reward. And obviously, if your goal is to become a top competitor in IFBB bodybuilding, or even, um, the other bodybuilding sanctions, if you want to become a top bodybuilder, you want to become Mr. Olympia, that's your goal. You're 20, you're 24 years old, and you want to get into that, then I will tell you that you will need to use steroids to compete at those levels. It just is what it is. I say that often because, there are some things we can't change in this world. There's some things we'd love to change in this world. But when all your competitors are using them, for you to step on stage and think you don't have to, it's foolish. It's just it's a foolish thing to really truly believe. So I want to say that I recommend to people not to use them, and I do tell them if you choose to use them, there is a risk. There's a risk of abuse, as with anything, any medication, any prescribed medication, and if you abuse the steroids for a long enough period of time, they will come back to haunt you. They will come back to get you. You will have physical problems eventually if they are abused. So avoid them if you can. In competition, people say that isn't it cheating if you use steroids? My answer to that is it's only cheating if other people are not allowed and are kept from using something, and you do use performance enhancing drugs, or you do use steroids, and you get away with it, but no one else is allowed to. That's cheating. But in the world of bodybuilding, professional, amateur, so many, all absolutely in professional, but so many in all realms of bodybuilding competition, virtually everyone is using performance enhancing drugs of some kind. We'll get into a few different kinds in a second. So to think that you might be cheating if you use and maybe they're not, they are. Get over it, accept it, and that is the world we're in bodybuilding. Can you compete without steroids? You can compete. Will you be competitive? No. I'm sorry. You may have some people step in and say, oh, yes, you can. Look at me. Look at all the muscle I built. Look how defined I am. Look how hard I am. And I haven't used performance enhancing drugs. I haven't used steroids. And I have successfully competed, and I have won competitions without it. I'm not going to look them in the eye and call them a liar, but I'm sorry, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. All right. Um, Other performance enhancing drugs, we've heard of things like testosterone. There's other ones out there. There's Deca, there's Masteron, there's Tren, there's all kinds of mixtures and stacks and all kinds of crazy things. There are some injectable and there are some oral. Okay, the oral ones, things like Anavar and Winstrol. There's something called Clen or clenbuterol that's used. It's not really a steroid, but it's used to drop weight and help build muscle, bring your energy levels up. The orals, remember, if you're taking an oral steroid or an oral performance enhancing drug, it goes through your liver. It gets filtered through your liver. And eventually, guess what? You do that long enough and your liver is going to revolt. You're going to have problems. So if you choose to do that, and again, I am not encouraging it at all, but if you choose to do that, you need to go through a cleansing period of several weeks to maybe a couple months to get that out of your system, to make sure your liver gets a break, your organs get a break. You cannot just go through life every week, every month, and every year staying on this stuff. It's not good for you. Okay? You will hear of drug-free sanctions. I've heard people say, well, I'm going to compete drug-free. Then I'm going to go into the OCB or the NGA. I think there's a couple more of them out now. You can say, you can have that desire in your mind that you're going to compete drug-free, and you will compete. But will you be competitive? And again, I will say a resounding no. They have ways of drug testing that allow, in my opinion, they allow for a little bit of cheating. They allow for a cleansing period. They allow for whatever. I'm not sure how they give these tests. I know a while ago I took a lie detector test for OCB. And there were people that pass lie detector tests somehow, and we know it's all in the operator. The lie detector test, the polygraph machine doesn't lie, but the operator can come out with whatever result they want, and the operator is paid for by the sanctioning body. Draw your own conclusions. So it's not to their advantage to start chopping people off because they failed tests. It's just not to their advantage. And I happen to know of a couple people that compete in drug-free sanctions, but they are not drug-free. So I wanted to clear the air there. Don't fool yourself into believing that you can compete drug-free in a drug-free sanction and be sheltered from all the nonsense. So I invite more questions on the topic. They call it in the business, sometimes they'll say, you know, you could be really big and you could be great if you come over to the dark side. So if you hear someone saying, come over to the dark side, that means that they're saying, yeah, you know, you could be great, but you got to start taking stuff. You got to start juicing, because that's what's going to get you bigger, drier, harder, and much more competitive. So in my mind, it's hard to attach a number to these things, but when you look at a professional bodybuilder, and they are enormous, they're like unbelievably sized, they're huge, they're cut, 3% body fat, maybe less, which they can't maintain forever. But when you get to that level of competition and you look like that, I would say perhaps 15%, perhaps even 20% of that is the steroid effect. Okay, now that's not saying they don't put in a lot of work. They put in an enormous amount of work, enormous amount of time lifting weights that some people wouldn't even think of. They would dream of lifting those kinds of weights. But again, the steroid effect is that you can lift heavier for longer periods of time and recuperate faster. So those are the advantages. More weight, more often, recovering faster, faster muscle growth. You can eat more food. So it makes all these things possible so that you can grow to much larger proportions. So I hope I answered some questions that came out of the messenger. And if you have more, I want you to keep them coming. I'm ready to get down to my workout here. And today is arms and abs. Every day is a good day for abs. But today is my arm day, kind of taking a little bit of a slower workout on the arms, because tomorrow, Saturday, is the crazy ass leg day, which I really love. All right, thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Keep lifting and eat well.